we have a new addition to the channel. This is a cold steel Trailmaster in 01 tool steel. It is a 9.5 inch blade. It's overall 14.5 inches long. It's made of 01 high carbon tool steel. It weighs 17.5 ounces. The blade thickness is 5/16 of an inch. The handle is 5 inches long and made of Cray-X. This is without doubt the scariest knife I've ever owned. This is how they come from cold steel. Just come in a box just like that with nothing else. It's fun. Come in their sheath, so sometimes they come separate, wrapped in a bit of card. I think a knife this weighty bouncing around, they'd have to wrap it in some kind of super card, which they probably don't make. So it comes in the sheath, and there you have it. Let's zoom in. You can see that it is covered in oil, which is good because 01 is a high carbon tool steel that will rust. So I guess for long-term storage, and it smells like proper motor oil. It's definitely not a food safe type of oil. So let's have a look at this knife, all from the handle to the tip. So the handle is covered in Cray-X, which is a rubbery type material. Feels a little bit similar to sort of what might cover a Mora knife. Obviously the texture is different. There's a little gold lanyard loop there, which I think is probably a good thing. You've got this brassy type guard there, so it is a full guard. You won't be, you could be choking up doing fine work with it, but this is really for swinging around in the bush, playing with, and I would suggest collecting more than anything and just enjoying, because it's a big flashy looking fixed blade. Using it, and it probably would be very effective at what I use it for, but more than anything, just a type of knife that's enjoyable to own. Let's look at that spine. Whoa, for reference, here is a thick knife called the Falconism F1. Yeah, Falconism F1 is just over 3/16 of an inch thick, so it's getting towards a quarter, and this is a little bit over a quarter, so a very, very beefy knife. However, it's also a knife for killing, because this is rather sharp here. I'm not sure if you'd cut the paper with that, but it's a fairly sharp choil, so batoning will be occurring, if it is done at all, on this part of the knife. Batoning with this knife is not a given, because I've seen failure videos where they snap about here. I am hoping that the 01 is a higher quality and tougher steel than the SK5, so I'm hoping that won't happen. Of course I will do a little bit of that, but this really is going to be a knife just for me to take on my trips, baton wood if I need to, which I generally don't when I'm realistically camping. For YouTube I baton wood all the time, but when I'm out in the wilds I just use a big knife like this for, dicking around in the woods. And come on, that is a perfectly valid use for a big knife. Dicking around in the woods is just fine. It's also a really, really good, and I don't really see knives as weapons, but I mean this is a zombie survival tool if I've ever seen one. I'm surprised this hasn't shown up in The Walking Dead yet, because it would be perfect for such a use. The 01 steel is what I got this. I held out and waited for an 01 knife to come up at a reasonable price, and finally it did. The discount, Outfitter Country finally had some in Australia. This only cost me about $150, which is really good for Australia. Usually in Australia you'd buy this for $350 or something, $300 from X-Tacker, one of our dealers. So that's a very good price. So this is more just of a heads up, because there will be some definite enjoyment of this knife occurring in the nearest future. And also it's really cool, it comes about right just to fit in that side pocket of my bag, my backpack, which is really, really good, so I can keep my saw under one pocket and my big Trailmaster under another. Probably will replace my axe on my trips that I go just by foot in, so there you go. Very, very cool. Let's clean off that oil, now it is no longer needed. Your journey is over, knife. Just use some WD-40 to break that oil down. Now the knife's journey is complete, and it can be polished to its shine that steel is really, really deserves to be carrying, because there's quite a large slab of 01 steel, which takes a really, really good satin finish. Look at that. Lovely, lovely stuff. And the 01 steel, it's often seen in bushcraft knives. It's just kind of it's a mid-hardness kind of. It's not, it's not. It doesn't have the magical properties of Infi or CPM 3V, but it's a definite step up from SK5, about on par with good quality 1095. And A2 a little bit different, but same again. So one of those good sort of outdoor steels, as long as you're happy to take a bit of care of it. So there we go. New member to the channel, the Cold Steel Trailmaster, and this knife is way too fun for me to sell, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to keep that philosophy. Just be interested to see how it tests. Alrighty, I'll see you all later. Silly me, I forgot to illustrate that this knife comes razor sharp. From the factory. With such a thick blade, that really is rather impressive. Anyway, see you next time.